Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session on using Kahoot inside the classroom, or how to be able to effectively utilize smartphones inside a teaching type environment. To go ahead and get started, we're going to kind of make this a little bit of an interactive session, so just to kind of show off like what the product is capable of. So I'll have you guys go ahead and if you have a smartphone device on you, go ahead and go to kahoot.it on a mobile browser and then just put in that game pin right there. Or if you don't have a mobile device, you can also open up an incognito browser on on the same computer. So on Google, there's this setting up over here to do a new incognito window. If you go to kahoot.it on that and then give it that game pin, you can also join in on that as well. And I'm also going to do the same on my end too, just to kind of give some extra example points. About maybe 10 more seconds or so for anyone else that wants to join in. Okay, I think we got a pretty good number joined up at the very least. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So I'll go ahead and start this right out. So welcome to Kahoot, specifically the session on smartphones for learning. So that's the title card. I kind of made a little bit of a goof, but it has that thing where it lets you kind of like do like a pseudo PowerPoint in between mixing of questions there. So just in case, welcome to the session on smartphones for learning, rather how you can leverage smartphones for student engagement using Kahoot. So to get started, I'm going to pose a question right off the bat, a little bit of a poll. Are you enjoying the cold and snowy weather inside Oswego there? So got about 2 minutes to answer. Feel free to pick whichever you want on here. I'm not taking any credit currently or grading anyone on this one. So it's whatever you feel like you want to put down for that. All righty. So it looks like we have a pretty good even split of everyone kind of joining it, like everyone answering one for each question. So really diverse answer pool. Interesting. So that's just one of the aspects of Kahoot. Kahoot, for the most part, is a web-based platform that lets you give interactive quizzes to a live audience. So a good way to put it is if anyone's played the Jackbox Party Pack games that came out a few years ago. Well, it stems from like back in like the early to mid 90s, but it was kind of like a way on how you can do like interactive quizzes as well as like trivia and mini games there, but utilizing smartphones so everyone can join in and be able to kind of play games while using their phones without needing to have like a physical board game presence or actually needing to be present in the first place while still being able to have that party atmosphere, that fun, if you will. So you're probably wondering, well, what can I do with Kahoot? Because then, like, even though I've just kind of shown that like you can do polls with it and like presumably you'll want to like do quizzes and stuff with it, Kahoot is very fully featured. Like you can not only use that inside like an educational setting, but they've also purported being able to use this inside like a selling seminar or being able to like take like an audience, like a captive audience, and be able to like get their votes as well as their opinions on certain things. So you can be able to kind of display it inside a live, almost instantaneous feed, if you will. So one of the biggest things you can do with Kahoot is you can put cell phones to good use. This idea came about because back when I was a kid, I'd always like to use to stay up pretty late. And that used to become a problem with my parents because they're like, we don't want our kids staying up too late there. So they figured one way to work around this was, if you're going to stay up late, we're going to put you to work while you're staying up late there. So eventually, like, I caught on that I was supposed to go to bed at an assigned time eventually, but it was like, well, if you want to stay up, you're going to be doing dishes, you're going to be folding laundry and all that stuff. We're gonna make you earn that time in order to like stay up really late until like you get tired. So I figured, with students using cell phones inside the classrooms, and like, certain educators have probably seen this before, where a student is just like nodding off of their cell phone, being like, huh? Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know you were two, like X plus two was Y or something like that. Like that type of issue. Figured, with Kahoot, it's gonna be hard for them to be distracted if their phone's gonna be in use for something else. So like, can't really use TikTok or post stuff over to Instagram if your phone has like a full-on Kahoot session currently going on. It's phones aren't really meant for like that type of multitasking, if you will. So it's like, if you have their phone fully engaged, you take the distractions out of the equation, to say the least. You can also facilitate activities inside a hybrid lecture. So one of the biggest things I've seen over at the School of Business, and I'm sure a lot of other professors have seen, is that they have a student inside their course that has come down with COVID-19 and has to be quarantined, but that student doesn't want to miss any type of class because perhaps they care about their grades or they care about their educational future in that sense, but they still want to kind of participate. They still want to kind of like continue onwards. So one of the things you can do using Kahoot is be able to still have that sense of interactive lectures for those that are remote. So if they can't make the class, you can have them connect in via Zoom and then give them the Kahoot link with the code, and then they can join in and be able to participate in different types of activities you're using with Kahoot. So if you're teaching like a math course and you're going to give pop quizzes or like have like a fun survey, if you're in a stats class, then you can be able to still have people remotely join in, so that way they can continue participating as if they were inside the class in the first place. And you can give pop quizzes, speaking of. So that kind of segues into another feature of Kahoot that you can do. If you want your students to pay attention, sometimes you got to give them a little bit of a pop quiz. So I'm going to give a little bit of a pop quiz right now. So a little bit of a quiz here. What building is this? So I'm going to also participate on my end also. All righty. And it looks like everyone else got the correct answer there. I purposefully was the one that answered Buffalo Bills Hall, just to kind of show the example of like how a wrong or right answer would show up on the quiz end there, but pretty good. So it kind of keeps students on their toes, where if you have those quizzes right in the middle of the class there, you can immediately have them put their phones to good use and be able to answer questions right on the fly. So there are many different ways you can assess knowledge inside your courses. So the quiz, as well as the true or false answers, are the ones right off the bat that I've seen certain professors use in order to be able to quiz their students on their knowledge. There are other ways you can also gain you can assess their knowledge too. You can have them do string types. So like this type answer here, you can have them type out the answer, and if it matches like some of the keywords that you've given up, then it will give them the credit. Or you can have them do like a matching puzzle there. So you can match like terms to like either images or text in order to kind of see what their knowledge is going to be like. Or you can record you can record an audio and have that as part of the quiz. This last part can come in handy if, say, like you're teaching a foreign language course, so like Spanish or French, and you want to give vocabulary type quizzes. So you would like audibly say like a keyword, and then they would have to match up what they would need to be for that. And I'll circle around back to what those stars are on the right side for a moment, because that's going to be kind of a little bit important and kind of probably one of the harder pills to swallow with regards to Kahoot, which is basically the different tier packages, because they have different levels of membership for Kahoot. In addition to assessing their knowledge, you can also survey the class, so you can get like different data points, or if you want to like get opinions on like a certain topic, or if you want to like kind of engage students more, so that way they kind of become more invested inside the class. So earlier I ran a voting poll, so you can kind of like get someone's like majority opinion on like a question that you may have. So like, are you enjoying the weather? Are you not enjoying the weather? And I'll have another one of those come up as kind of like another applied example there. You can also do a word cloud. So you can have students type out like what they're thinking, like keyword wise, and then like as they're typing that out, it'll kind of put it inside that word cloud type of graphic, so you can display it like right on the screen, just so people can see like what people are thinking of. And then you can have like an open-ended discussion, as well as like brainstorm like different topics with the courses there. So many different ways if you want to like gather opinions from the class or give them a survey. And in addition, you can also kind of set up your Kahoot so that way you can put slides in between like different quizzes. So kind of like what I'm doing right now, you can have slides with information between questions. So if you don't want to like swap back and forth to like PowerPoint or Prezi or Google Slides for that matter, you can kind of have it all in one go. So you can like kind of present your lecture information at the same time that you're giving your quizzes. So kind of zooming in a little bit here, these are the different slide layouts you can do for Kahoot. So if you want to like put like an image up on the screen, or have like text with information as well as an image, like if you want to give your lecture at the same time as the quizzes, these are the ways that you can kind of display it out as you see. So here's that aforementioned poll that I was going to give. So what's your favorite hot beverage? Coffee, tea, hot cocoa, or hot cider? I'm going to go ahead and answer this one as well. And as you can see, the timer is ticking off on the left side, so you can give people an idea of how long they have to answer. And also, if everyone does answer, it automatically goes through and stops it right away. So looks like we got a good even split between coffee and tea. So pretty good. You can always use that answer afterwards to, like if you're doing statistics on like giving a statistics lessons to students on like what they prefer, then you can easily use this information right away to kind of give them an applied example. So this is going back over to that little star that you see at the very right of the item there. That kind of that is basically shows you the different tiers of how much Kahoot, like it's part of a different package you have to get for Kahoot there. So I'm going to zoom this in just a second, but I just wanted to say Kahoot has a free version called the Basic. The Basic package, what that does is it lets you do up to 10 players. So 10 players per game. And it's a little bit limited for customization options, but it does let you do quizzes as well as some polls. So that way you can be able to continue like doing assessments for students while you're doing so. It's just a little bit of like, it's meant for like a smaller number, or if you're doing group work there. So I'm going to kind of zoom in just a bit here. And these are the packages that Kahoot basically offer. So like Kahoot Plus lets you do up to 50 players and lets you do quiz-based Kahoots as well as doing classic slides. If you upgrade to like a pro or premium package, you can increase the amount of players per game. So if you're like doing like a massive online open course, or if you're doing like a session to like an auditorium, pro and premium might be probably more apt for that. In addition, you like pro and premium are the ones that let you do puzzles as well as like certain types of polls. Premium lets you type out word answers as well as have the word cloud, so you have a little bit more customization for engagement with your students. and it does have that price here. So this is the individual pricing. So like you'd have like $5 per educator per month. Billed annually is like $60 for like the plus package. However, I do believe there is a site. Actually, no, not, we don't have a site license, I don't believe, but I think it's something that like they have like volume pricing per like groups or per department there. So don't take my word as gospel at all that we have this. I don't believe we have a site license for this, but this is just something that if like your department is interested in getting, then this is how much it would normally cost for that matter. And is it hard to use? I wouldn't really say it's much difficult. In fact, once this presentation is done, I'll go over a brief overview on how the Kahoot user interface works. I found it pretty easy to use and pretty fast to pick up. So I would say it's pretty easy to get up and go if you want to revolve a lesson around using Kahoot. And one last poll. Have you decided on if you have anything that you want to do with Kahoot? So I'm just going to go ahead and answer on this one here. All righty. That's pretty fast too. I know there's probably going to be like, it's all right if you don't have any ideas with Kahoot quite yet, because Kahoot is very, very like, there's a lot of things you can do with it. So I'm sure after this presentation, there will be a lot of ideas still kind of like brewing that could be played around with. And so before I finish off this presentation right off the bat, I'm going to just quickly give a demonstration of how to use Kahoot, or how to be able to put together a Kahoot on your end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my main interface here. By the way, can everyone see this all right over here? Perfect. All righty. I'm just going to go ahead and click. By the way, in order to get to here, you can just go to kahoot.com and then log in with a, you can either use a Google account or create your own account there. This will be the first thing you'll see after you log in. So I'm just going to go ahead and click create. And so there's a few other templates that you can kind of pull from. Some of them are premium based templates though. So anything with this little star at the top right, you'll need to have an upgraded package in order to be able to use. But I'm going to create a new Kahoot from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. And then this is the very first thing you see when you go to use Kahoot as a user interface. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to just give a Kahoot title. So I'll just call this test lecture number 3, because this is the third one that I've kind of created while playing around with this. Description, you can put in a description, so that way if people need to find your Kahoot, then they'll be able to find out just by the subject of what it's supposed to look like. And you can kind of update the cover image of this, so that way people can know what your Kahoot is all about. And if there's like a lobby video you wanted to put, so like if you wanted to like do a video on like process engineering or something, you could put like a stock video on YouTube of like, say, machinery like moving around or something like that. And then you have your visibility, where either the public can find it, or you can make it private and you can share only just the link, so that way only people with the link can be able to use it. So I'm going to keep it private for now, because I'm kind of a little I don't want people finding this and being like, oh, this is another test Kahoot, so we'll just play around with that. So I'll just go ahead and click done. And right now it's already saved it over to a draft folder. So right over here is where you will have like your slides, kind of similar to PowerPoint. You can kind of rearrange different slides or different quiz portions, so that way you can kind of give the order of where you want it to go next. So what I'm going to do is I want to have an introduction slide first. So I clicked add slide. I'm going to add it as a classic. You can add these down here, but as you can see with this star, you need to have the upgraded package in order to be able to use those. So I'm going to add a classic slide, and I'm just going to call this intro title. And And then text down here, I'm just going to put down 5. And if you click this plus, you can put an image right in the center. So I would usually have an image loaded up over here, but I'm kind of drawing a little bit of a blank on what to do. So I'm just going to put down this cute panda here as an image. And I'm also going to kind of change the background color of this, or actually there should be a theme section over here to kind of apply it to. I'm trying to find out where it is. I'll circle back around to that one in just a moment. But right now, this is our intro slide that I want for part of the presentation. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drag this all the way up to the top. So that way, when people use the Kahoot for the first time, they're going to see this as the very first slide. And then we're going to go over here to the quiz section over here. And I want to change this over to a poll instead, so that way I can get people's opinions as opposed to like actually quizzing them. So I'll go over to poll for question type. And then for this one, I'm going to type in, let's say, are you Super Bowl? We don't know who's going to be inside the Super Bowl, so I'm just going to put down answers like Bills, Patriots, Steelers, and I don't care because not a lot of people usually watch too much sports. So this is the only example I can think of off the top of my head at the very least. So I'm going to set the time limit. You can set this to however long or short as you want. Earlier, I set all of the questions to 2 minutes, but it's up to you on how fast you want your students to get to the questions. So like usually I like to give extra time to people just in case like they need time to think it over. But if you want them to be like right on the bat, like being able to answer that, you'll probably want to set to like a minute to 30 seconds. So I'll just put 30 seconds for like the time limit. And then for the answers, if you have an upgraded package, you can let them like select multiple answers as well. But for now, we'll just do a single selection, just to kind of keep it simple. And then if you click this plus here, you can add like images. You can also upload images custom over here as well. So normally you can like click upload image in order to have like a customized image to come up over here. But I'm just going to keep it as is. And then I'm just going to add another question up over here. We'll do a true and false thing, and we'll just put down never snows in Oswego. And that is patently and objectively false. So you can set your correct answer by clicking the circles on this side. So that will kind of be like the answer key for each slide. And I'll just adjust the time limit to about another minute. And then you can decide if you want to like give credit or points to like each question. Just kind of adjust this. So you can either give them like standard amount of points or double their points if you're giving an assessment, or you can just make it as kind of like an example question without like getting any points at all. So you don't have to have it like a high stakes type of question. So if you want to like kind of give like a pop quiz that demonstrates stuff, then that's the way you can be able to do so. And it will automatically save over to like a drafts folder, but you can also manually save it over at the top right as well. If you save it from here, it'll then give you this box here telling you that your Kahoot is ready. So you can be able to test it out, or you can play it like right away if you were doing this on the fly, or you can share it with others so that way they can be able to kind of test it out on their own as well. And when you're done, you can just either go back and edit it some more, or you can just be like, I'm finished, I'm done. And then it'll bring you over to your list of Kahoots that you'll be able to kind of play or share out from there. And that's pretty much all I got so far. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts or ideas?